This is Binterik on Dawah. Assalamu alaikum. I'm going to begin with a conversation that I've had with numerous sisters, and they go for months and months through Instagram messages generally, or even through TikTok messages or other platforms to communicate with a brother who says that he's interested in marrying them. And of course, generally, the parents are not involved of either side. Nobody else really knows about this conversation except for the sister, possibly a few close friends, and on the brother's side, probably nobody else but him is aware that he's having these texts and conversations and video chats back and forth, private ones. So the topic of this podcast is going to be about how brothers lead sisters along. You don't find that happening with the women as much, and correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, inshallah, but the basic thing is that we have an issue of brothers playing and stringing people along and breaking hearts. And I want to bring the fact that this is indeed haram to do. Harming Muslims is haram, and this is one aspect of it that really can delay a foundational marriage for either the man or the woman due to this attachment that people get when they are having private messages without mahrams present or aware.
AI skit time.
So this is how it went.
I've seen your videos about narcissism, and I'm worried that the brother I'm talking to is a narcissist.
Okay, so how long have you been texting each other through Instagram?
We have been texting for 6 months. Then after he went on a trip, I see he started following this other girl. I don't know what to think.
Well, since you don't have like a legal family, kind of contract or arrangement between you, this is something that's private between you and him. You can't really make any claims on him, right? He can't make claims on you. You can't make claims on him. Just give me a minute, and I'll ask about this. I'll ask my sons basically about this behavior and see what they say. Yeah. So guys following another sister on Instagram, and he's telling her it's nothing, just friend, whatever. Oh yeah. Okay, that's what I thought, but I didn't want to say anything until we talked to actually on it. Okay, all right, jazakallah khairan. Yeah, my sons are telling me that the brother's just playing, and definitely it is a serious thing. He's following this other girl. He's just fishing. He's fishing and making sure that he, has somebody at the end of the day. And I'm really sorry to have to tell you that. But my sons didn't even hesitate. That this is definitely what brothers do. And it is really unfortunate. I'm really, really sorry that you got caught up in this and that you spent so much time, communicating with this brother for marriage. He's just got, unfortunately, my sons are saying that this is like a backup plan for him. And unfortunately, this is something that the brothers do.
But I am emotionally invested now. I've been planning in my mind to marry him.
I'm really sorry about your heartbreak. He should not have strung you on for that long. Definitely bad on his part to have strung you along like that. And I'm really sorry that you got so heavily invested.
How do I get over him? How do I let go? I really believed we were going to get married and make a life together.
Whenever we allow someone or something to entirely shatter and break our hearts, it's generally due to the fact that we haven't been prioritizing our relationship with Allah in that relationship. So if somebody totally freaks out and loses their mind, if someone dies, for example, or if someone gets a divorce and they just totally they lose sense, they lose their minds, that is a demonstration, that the person hasn't really been prioritizing Allah in their lives and in that relationship. That relationship is not a way through which they can praise Allah. And that's why, subhanAllah, it's so important for us to get married, to fast track the marriage process as much as you can, or at least make sure that your environment is halal and that the conversations that you're having are monitored by others. There's a lot of benefits to that. So now, you got to just move forward by begging Allah to heal your heart and turn back to Him. And just from now on, make sure that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a priority in whatever relationships you engage in.
I just feel like there isn't anybody else out there for me.
I know it probably feels like that. And I know that that's how you're genuinely feeling. And I hear you. And I'm really sorry that, over months now, you've been convinced of this. And it is definitely a wrong thing that he was doing, definitely a sin on him for lying and deceiving and ultimately breaking your heart. You know how people say there's more fish in the sea? I know you don't want to hear that right now, but if you close this door, hoping that Allah will give you better, and say, Inna lillahi wa inni ilayhi raji'un. The second part of that is, Allahumma ajurni fi musibati wa akhlif li khayran minha. This is so important. We ask Allah, we recognize that everything goes back to Allah. The second part is what I want to focus on, that you believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you better. You ask Allah to replace what you had and give you something better than that. And it's not a selfish thing. It's that you believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can. Allah's provision is endless, subhanallah.
I just wish that I hadn't wasted so much time and energy in him.
Yeah, subhanallah. I can totally relate, and I can totally imagine what that must feel like. But test our lessons. I am sorry that you invested so much, and it might feel like a waste. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give you better than him. Ameen.
Ameen.
So on a live on a TikTok, I saw some Muslim brother answering a question about chatting with someone who was not mahram with the intention of getting to know them for marriage purposes. They asked if to chat was okay without a wali being there. I'm using the word chat. I'm just saying like texting or video calls or whatever, just private conversations of all, digital types and video types. And the brother on the TikTok live said yes, that the ruling doesn't apply to, digital media or something like that. I don't need to get into the fiqh with this one. I don't need to get into the fiqh. Like I always say, you don't need a sheikh for a lot of things. You don't need a fatwa. And this is one of those things that we don't need a fatwa like that. Whoever is asking the question, Allah knows what their intention is, but a lot of the times these kind of questions happen after the fact. The person is already engaging in a relationship like this. They're already texting back and forth privately, and they're just checking to see, like an insurance policy, checking it after the fact to see, okay, is this okay for me to do? And we really have to stop, phrasing our questions this way, and we really have to stop the order in which we ask these questions. If you wanted to engage in somebody and you hadn't started yet, then you would ask a question, not off of some guy on TikTok, but someone of knowledge, obviously, your local imam or teachers that you trust, in your area that are aware of all of the things that you have available to you, doors through which you can fall into corruption and sins. So I don't know why the brother said that either. Possibly he's not thinking about, the nefarious things that young people do. I mean, the brother wasn't a young man, so it's possible that he hadn't been exposed to all the things that you can do via text message, through Instagram, Snapchat, any of the very many ways that people can connect with each other. Is a private conversation. At the end of the day, this is what I love about studying about the fiqh maxims. At the end of the day, the essence here is that it's a private conversation. If you are having a conversation with somebody and nobody else, A, knows that you're having this conversation, and B, is listening or hearing or even observing or attending with you or possibly even reading the text, it's not helicopter parenting. It's just, protecting the dignity of the whole situation. SubhanAllah, then this is a private meeting, is it not? I mean, we don't have to ask people these kind of questions. We are all thinking people. We all have minds. And a private conversation is a private discourse between two people, a man and a woman who are not married to each other, who are not mahram, and they are having a conversation where no one else is aware. And this is a private conversation. So when the Prophet ﷺ said that no man is alone with a woman, but the shaitan is the third one present, I can't imagine why anybody would misconstrue that and say, well, that wasn't talking about digital conversation. That wasn't talking about texting. Can you not have an intimate relation? I'm not going to say the actual phrase for it. Can you not have intimate relations through text? There are a lot of people that do that. Before we had texting, it was phone, and then now we're calling it a whole other word. If you can do that through texting, then don't tell me this is not a private conversation. So now that I've gone full on aunty on you, that I'm like, okay, no, you should avoid having these private conversations, I'm going to say the reasons. Okay, this is what this is about. I'll give my opinion and I'll just give my reasons, and then you decide what you want to do. Obviously, So number one, it sets a dangerous precedent. If you're sneaking, you are effectively sneaking. Let's define that too. You're sneaking and texting someone, and your parents either have no idea who they are, or they have no idea what you're doing, that you're preparing, for marriage. Some of you all are even scared to tell your parents that you're interested in getting married, or that you're interested in talking to somebody, or that you are speaking to somebody that you want to marry. Some of you are so concerned and so scared that you actually do that. Your parents don't even know that you're interested in getting married, and here you are having a 6-month conversation with somebody. So what else now? This precedent that the brother or the sister gets the idea that you are comfortable with having a private conversation with them. Very early on, you're very, very early on, you're fine to have a private conversation, right? And this sets a precedent for the rest of the communication you have with this person. If right away you are going to have these private, intimate conversations with them, what else is going to come down the road? You know that as you get to know them, as you get to learn more about them, as you become closer and closer into the person, then the conversation is going to change. It's going to morph, and it's going to degrade. It's going to corrupt a little. And so what comes after that? I think we all can very quickly in our imaginations imagine how that can escalate. How can you feel more intimate with the person? How can you get to know them better? And subhanAllah, so this is where these kind of things come from. So if you start off in defiance and worried about your parents discovering that you are having this conversation, Imam Ali, he said that radiallahu anhu, he said that the sin is what you feel in your heart and you don't want other people to know about. This is extremely deep. And when you think about it in the terms of you just having these private conversations, you don't need to ask anybody else whether or not this is okay. You know it's not okay. Because if you thought it was okay, you wouldn't be hiding it from your parents. You wouldn't be hiding it from your wali. You wouldn't be telling him or telling her not to tell anybody about it. Or you wouldn't be saying, okay, is it safe to talk now? Is this a good time? Because you're entirely alone and you don't want anybody else to know. So consider that. Consider that you might already know yourself that it's wrong for you to do this. And you got to figure out ways to not make it wrong. And there are some ways to do that, inshallah. Second reason, picture requests, video requests, Snapchat conversations, through video. These are all done with rapid speed. Like, people's attention spans are very, very short because the media gets shorter and shorter. So you can send a video or a picture so quickly. Like they don't say, are you sure you want to send this picture? They don't help you. There's just like, yes, send the picture, send the photo, send the video. He asked for something, send it to him. She asked for something, send it to her. There's no time. There's no time given in these apps. There's no protections for you. Protection has to come from yourself. You have to figure out how you're going to protect yourself. There's no time to hesitate. There's no time to think about it. There's nobody else to seek advice from because it's private, right? And it's just you and him or her. And this is a very dangerous thing. The third reason that I don't believe that people should be doing these private conversations and that I believe that they have to do with the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ is between you, around you, above you and below you is the shaitan who hates human beings, is jealous of them, and does all he can to humiliate human beings. So you're going to do things and say things and feel things that will embarrass you. How to avoid that on the road to getting married? Just have your mother or father sit in with you when you're having this conversation. Just let them know that you're having this conversation. They might be fine with just being in the same room as you. They can see your reactions. They might ask to see what the person wrote. If your intention is to marry this person, and that is going to be a public thing and everybody's going to know, and you're probably going to put up videos and pictures on Instagram and TikTok and whatever to let people know, yeah, I'm married now, alhamdulillah. That's going to be public. So why does the getting to know the person have to be private? What is so important about that being secret and private if the intention there is to get married in a public way? SubhanAllah. So this are the benefits of shura. This aspect of Islam is so important, and we really have to kind of make this happen, especially in the West, because everything is so individualistic. Like, oh, I'm just my own person. I'll make my own decisions. It's my life, my body, all these kind of things. And in Islam, we are not individualistic. And that's why it's really difficult for some Muslim families and communities to really feel like they are Americans or Canadians or or British people or, Australians or wherever in the world, because the individualism is so rampant here, and it clashes directly with the communalism that we have in Islam, that you are part of a community and your decisions and how you run your life directly affects the unity and the solidity and the foundation of the community. And when you study anthropology or you study anything about human studies, you realize that the family is the cornerstone of the community. So if the family is based off of sneaky conversations and hiding and this is how families are being made, it doesn't really speak well for the rest of the community, and it doesn't really lend to your future marriage much solidity, because the initial intention was to lie and deceive and hide. So the benefits of shura. Even if this isn't your actual parents or your actual wali, letting someone else know what's happening is essential. This is how you don't get dragged on for months and months and months. The dragging on for months and months, the excuses that people will give, men and women, they will be very easily seen by somebody else. You might not see it because you're all, I'm just in love, and I believe all the excuses. I believe why he or she added somebody else to Instagram, and I see why she or he traveled to another city to meet somebody, and I understand all that. I just love them, and I really want to be married to them, whatever. So you make a lot of excuses for yourself, and I'm totally not making fun of you. I'm just saying, and in your emotional state attached to this person, you are not going to be able to make logical decisions on your own about how to interpret their actions and their words. Suspicious behavior, ways of expressing oneself, and other online activities can lead you to think one way or the other. But somebody from outside who's not emotionally connected, who's not been, communicating with this person and attached to them at all, and one who trusts and loves you and wants the best for you, those are points that you have to consider. You can send someone like me a message and ask my advice, but now this is months into the relationship, right? Past the point where it's mere curiosity. You've invested a lot of time and energy, hopes and du'as that you may be in too deep to see what's happening. From the very start, you should be getting advice on how things are progressing. This is one of the major ways that you can avoid wasting so much time. Your friends and your family, they care about you long term. Someone that you meet through the internet, someone you connect through, you might have met them in person, but now everything's online. While this person may say that they care for you a lot, while they may even say that they love you, your parents, they've been with you since before you were born. Your friends are going to be with you for years. They are concerned about you long term. And when you have somebody that's loves you long term, then you have a base from which you can judge every other kind of relationship. So if you have somebody telling you who loves you long term, who wants your long term success in this life and the next, leave this person alone. They're trying to manipulate you. Leave this person alone. They don't seem serious to me. Back away from this relationship. Let me talk to them. Let me have a conversation with them to see, how serious they are, whatever, to try to help and advocate for you. Not take over and not, get in your business, but advocate for you to make sure to protect you and to preserve you. Then you got to take them up on it and try. Now, it might not be your parents. It could be an older brother or sister, or even somebody in your community, whatever. Let somebody else know what's happening, what's being said. Intention to marry is not in words only. It's not in lip service. It's in actions. There's no way to tell if they're long-term until they contact your parents and make things formal. There isn't. Now, this comes to the biggest red flag ever. And we talk a lot about red flags, and I know people want to focus a lot on red flags, but to me, this is like a big thing. And I just shared on my YouTube channel, Steve Harvey video, where he's talking about like a man knows that you're the one when he lets you meet his mom. When you're meeting mama, then you know that you're in. He really does favor you. And if he doesn't want to communicate with your parents, or he doesn't want you to meet his parents, avoid speaking to your parents or discouraging you from speaking to your parents. This spells a big no commit flag here. You've invested months to know this person and you're serious, but they might not be serious at all, especially if they're adding and talking to other people. You really don't have any way to do that, right? People can have several different Instagram accounts. They can have many different ways to speak to other people. What is meeting the parents going to do? Sometimes I just want to shake people and say, what is meeting the parents going to do? It's not like, in Islam, once you meet the parents, you're married. You're just having interviews. you're having interviews and you're talking and you're seeing if you're compatible. I know because of this connection that you've had, because you've been texting this person for such a long time, because you've developed this digital relationship with the person, that you really feel committed, and meeting the parents is like maybe the last thing that you do before you get married. But it's just meeting them. It's just getting their opinion. It's just seeing, whether or not your family could deal with you being married to this person. It's not a life-changing moment. It's just, you've invented this, I think. Some of the people that talk to me, they invent this idea that, okay, private conversation, meet parents, marriage. Like, subhanAllah, it really, like, as a parent myself, it's kind of insulting, and it really devalues my take on life, my life experience, and my age, and my care for you as my daughter or my son. So I know I'm speaking as someone who is almost 50. I'm speaking as a parent here, but I do really hope that you listen. If you're in these kind of relationships, or you're thinking about continuing on in a relationship this way, or hopefully if I've reached you at the very beginning, then you will bring in somebody. And I said, doesn't matter if it's your parents, if you really don't think that your parents are going to be helpful. And I really wish you'd give them a try, but if you don't want to do that, and for sure, your parents better than I do, but somebody else, there's got to be somebody else that can weigh in, about your decision to continue to talk to this person, different stuff, and an intuition. We usually have an intuition. It's difficult to do intuition things through digital because you can't really hear the person's tone of voice or whatever, but often we have this intuition, and we can feel that things are off. And this intuition will either lead you to make a decision on your own, or hopefully, inshallah, if you're listening to me, will bring somebody into that relationship and help you be stronger about the decisions that you make in it. When someone refuses to even do that, to even have the parents available, or to even have the parents in the room. Like, I spoke to one sister who she was texting back and forth with a brother, but her father was just sitting with her. And just having the person sit with you, immediately you become a little bit more concerned about your conduct. Even if they aren't even looking at the text, there's enough of like a shield there, I think, against your lower desires, because you have somebody there who cares about you, who's present there. And it'll also keep the conversation from dragging on long. Another thing that we know about the shaitan is that the shaitan enters into the conversations that are drawn out for too long, right? So, you have some business to discuss. Okay, this is what I would like. This is what you like. You have some questions for me, whatever, like that. Khalas, finish, go, do something else in real life, go pray, whatever. Your interactions are going to be shorter, which is more blessed, and you're going to feel like there's a shield there preventing you from really falling deep into conversation and entering the shaitan into the relationship. Things are known by their beginnings. I'm sorry to say it, but if you found this person through, any of the dating apps or Snapchat or through Instagram, and the only way that you discovered each other or noticed each other is because you were physically attracted to them, then obviously this is not the best way to begin marriage. I'm not saying that all marriages start out with, marriages that start out with physical attraction, but like when you take that physical attraction and then you add to it months of intimate conversation, it's not a great way to establish a relationship. For you to be able to have somebody who's interested enough in marriage that they will marry you, then your physical attraction to them is actually not going to be enough. And I'm just saying this from experience. I mean, you can find out for yourself, but I just want to share that with you. Physical attraction is not enough in marriage, and you have to seek compatibility. You have to seek things that are going to last. Can you live day to day with this person? If they get older and they gain weight, or if they have an accident, subhanAllah, and something happens to their face, would you just drop them then, subhanAllah? Would you, or like how, that affection that you have for them, fueled by how they look, this is, it's a big waste of time for you to focus so much on that aspect of the person. And it's a big mistake for you to think that you are that valuable to this person when you've connected based on your physical attraction. So these are some points that I wanted to share with you about these long relationships that people have through Instagram messages, or whatever kind of messages and video chats and stuff. It's important for everybody who is involved in seeking a spouse online to take things offline, whether you physically meet the person with your wali or with people present in a public place, or you at least bring in somebody else to the conversation. You have somebody in the room with you. I'm even going to say let them read the texts as they come in. Make suggestions. Oh, you might want to ask the person this. You might want to ask the person that. You know, live video chats where the wali or somebody else is listening in and present. The foundation is how it starts. Just because you're into each other right now does not mean that you're going to be a successful couple in this life and the next. That you will have a successful marriage, can raise a family together effectively. It's a shaky foundation to build a relationship upon, and it can only be solidified by bringing in people to observe and make suggestions on how to proceed. I know I keep repeating that. It's just because I really want you to get it. The other thing is that you don't know what you don't know. And if I've already made you feel like I'm preaching to you in this podcast, I do apologize. I don't want to be, preaching and telling people what to do. But when a brother or sister strings someone along, it's really likely that an older sister or brother could have saved you from wasting your time. You're young, you have a lot of, challenges to keep yourself in control. You're romantic. You want adulthood to start. You really want to get things going. You see how other people are, getting married and starting families, and you just really want that. But you can't. I'm sorry, but you can't see ahead very far. Your mind is full of rom-com fantasies. Due to your age and lack of life experience, you have enough sugar. What you need now is some good old salt to balance out the recipe. If you are one of those brothers or sisters who strings people along like this, I have some advice for you. Your Muslim sister and brother is your Muslim sister and brother in Islam. And I'm going to speak directly to the brothers because this happens more with them due to their upbringing or whatever. Your Muslim sister should be safe from your words and your hands. For you to string her along for months on end with no marriage intention is haram. It's deception. You've probably gotten her to compromise herself at least once because you've said, oh, it's okay, we're going to get married, but you're lying. Focus really hard in your own life on actual success, not body count. Focus on the fact that one day you will die and people will stand around your grave talking about you. What do you want them to say? That you broke many young women's hearts and died alone? Or that you honored Allah's creation, was a grateful servant, honored women, and married successfully? This is Binterik on Dawah. Assalamu alaikum.